We are at a very critical turning point in the war. Although it hasn't officially ended, at least for the next 2 weeks, the guns will fall silent, negotiations will take place, and a ceasefire will be in effect. We are truly witnessing something historic. I'll get into the details shortly. As you know, Trump had been repeatedly extending the deadline he gave Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This made him seem like a subject of mockery as his threats weren't being carried out. However, in his latest statement, he made it clear that the time had run out, saying, "An entire civilization in Iran will be wiped out tonight. They still have time to surrender." Following this, the closure of schools in Iran, increased security measures, and the growing seriousness of Trump's threats created widespread fear. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen on Tuesday night. There were three possibilities. Either a ceasefire would be declared and tensions would ease, one side would accept the terms of the agreement, or Trump would follow through and devastate Iran. In the end, the first option happened. No bombs were dropped, no weapons fired. However, despite Trump claiming a complete and absolute victory over Iran, people in Iran took to the streets after the ceasefire and celebrated what they saw as their own victory. And in a sense, they had strong reasons to do so. Iran had announced a 10-point plan that it claimed the United States accepted. Looking at these points, it's not hard to argue that Iran came out ahead. First, a commitment against aggression, no attacks on Iran. Second, Iran maintaining control over the Strait of Hormuz, which is extremely critical for them. The US only demanded that the strait be reopened, but Iran also reportedly wants to charge $2 million per passing ship. Other points include acceptance of uranium enrichment, removal of all sanctions, cancellation of UN Security Council decisions, compensation payments to Iran, withdrawal of US forces from the region, ending conflicts on all fronts, including Hezbollah-related tensions, and freedom from international nuclear inspections. Considering all of this, it's difficult to say Iran lost. However, this ceasefire is only for 2 weeks, so the war is far from over. After the agreement, Iran reopened its airspace and the Strait of Hormuz, causing oil prices to drop sharply, giving the world some relief. Both sides declared victory, but real negotiations are set to begin on April 10th at the Islamabad summit. Pakistan played a key role here, acting as a mediator since there are no direct diplomatic ties between Iran and the US. Turkey and Egypt were also involved. Israel, although not fully supportive of the ceasefire, is aligned with Trump's decision, so it is effectively part of the process. At the upcoming summit, Iran's demands will likely be revised, but the fact that such heavy demands even reached the table and led to a ceasefire is seen as a loss for the US. Before the war, Iran had far fewer advantages, but now it stands much stronger. In many ways, Trump can be seen as having lost this war, morally due to civilian casualties, legally due to violations of conventions, politically due to loss of public support, economically due to massive spending, reputationally due to global criticism, and strategically because rivals like China and Russia benefited without even entering the battlefield. US Senator Murphy even questioned the purpose of the war, asking why it was fought if the Strait of Hormuz was already open. There were also alarming warnings, including claims that China and Pakistan warned the US and Israel about potential nuclear retaliation if Iran was attacked further. Although not officially confirmed, Trump's own statements about destroying a civilization were interpreted by some as nuclear threats. Meanwhile, China played a silent but powerful role supporting Iran economically, buying 90% of its oil exports during the war, stabilizing its economy, and positioning itself as a mediator. This allowed China to strengthen its global image while also weakening its rival economically. When we zoom out, we see a bigger pattern. For decades, the US has won militarily in the Middle East but struggled politically. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, each time gaining control but failing to establish lasting stability. Iran, however, learned from history. Unlike Iraq or Syria, it wasn't fragmented internally and maintained strong internal control despite protests. Instead of direct confrontation, Iran used asymmetric warfare, slowly exhausting the US and the global economy. Sanctions didn't collapse Iran because the world is no longer unipolar. Countries like China and Russia prevent total isolation. This shift in global power allowed Iran to survive and even gain leverage. Ultimately, Iran's biggest success was buying time. Temporary ceasefires, negotiations, and bold demands all served one purpose: delay, because time was on Iran's side. As time passed, US internal pressure increased, global economic strain worsened, and divisions among allies deepened. Iran exploited all of this effectively. Now, the biggest question remains, is this a path to peace or a pause before a larger conflict? Right now, it looks like controlled tension. Neither side wants full-scale war, but neither wants to back down either. Both claim victory, but when you analyze everything, the real winner becomes much clearer.